Screen. Okay. Hello, welcome to our February working group meeting. Plamen, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank
Take it
you.
away.
Yeah, I have several. Okay, so with regards to the first one, so our efforts with regards to this IP version 6 stuff already starts to materialize. So we have some proposals here. So it's really on, I would say, a bit more on a conceptual level. So definitely we would like and appreciate if you have some feedback. Of course, again, it's on a conceptual level. No tests. Just some rough implementation, how we see it. Please keep in mind that it actually affects the egress part only. And our goal is to actually preserve the underlying network. Just yeah.
That's very exciting. So you've made some changes just as a rough hack idea.
Yeah.
Want some feedback? Does it run?
Yes.
Wow, that's very exciting. Awesome.
But actually, it requires a lot of manual stuff to be prepared. You need Bosch IP version 6 enabled stem cells. So we did quite a lot of manual steps and stuff there to have such a stem cell and yeah, a lot of other things.
Are those things documented somewhere?
We expect to have them ready at some point in time, most probably in next either month or two. Our Bosch colleagues, which are currently supporting the stem cell version, they are building or delivering IP version 6 enabled stem cell. So as soon as they have their job done, we should be able to consume all the steps on the file. But currently, by the way, I can ask a colleague of mine, but I'm not 100% sure if we have them documented somewhere.
Okay, so it sounds like mostly steps to do a custom stem cell. Were there other custom hacks that you had to do to enable things?
Mainly stem cell related.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's awesome. More progress than I was expecting, faster than I was expecting. Nice job. Okay, I'll advertise this around to get some feedback for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on IPv6 work?
Now that we talk about it, I noticed that I think GoRouter doesn't have an IPv6 listener, does it?
I don't believe so.
I mean, we wouldn't need it because we have HA proxy in front, so right now it's not really a concern for us, and I think most other people have other application load balancers in front, but I'm not so sure. Yeah, I guess we will see when we need it.
Okay. Next, FS3 to FS4.
Next one is the famous incompatible change. So it seems like here we won't be able to reach to a consensus. And yeah, so definitely from our side, seems like we should start with implementing another configuration option, because this issue is actually blocking our update pipelines. We cannot update our foundations due to this. We are still using FS3 and cannot get FS3 because due to our corporate product standards, we cannot shut down productive workloads. And yeah, basically we are forced to resolve this issue, and it seems like we would need to provide a workaround for the bug itself. But yeah, so if you have anything else to add, yeah, the conversation seems like to be already in a dead-end situation, and we already started with the configuration property in the Diego release spec.
Yeah, I haven't read the newest comments, but my problem with the solution that Amin pointed out here, so you're turning it from a map which doesn't have any intrinsic order, can be any order, into an array so that there is an order. But this is the clip of code. It's turning it into an array by iterating over the map. And so it seemed like the array would still have no known order. Like you couldn't promise that that array then was sorted any particular way.
Yeah, it actually depends how the elements will be ordered into this configuration file. So anyhow, they are already ordered. But anyway, okay. So, I mean, I don't want to trigger the communication again.
Okay.
Because currently our long-term goal is to have this resolved. So, yeah.
But yeah, I like the idea of it being explicit through a variable. Because let's say you choose, if we say, oh, we want the oldest one or we want the newest one, you could imagine at some point you would want the opposite. So it seems like configuration is a good way to go.
Okay, we go for configuration.
Thank you. That's IPv6.
And the last one is also from my side.
Okay.
It's related to the Envoy proxy. So we are using the Envoy within the application container just to guarantee a route integrity and misrouting. But recently, we started to face a lot of cases when the Envoy is actually failing. But in this case, the platform itself does not restart the application because it actually remains in a healthy state, but actually the application itself is non-routable. And we kind of started to receive a lot of complaints from customers which containers are in a kind of a unhealthy situation, but actually the state reported is healthy. And what we tried to implement here is some sort of an improvement which actually introduces a health check for the Envoy proxy. And as soon as the Envoy is for some reason dead, it actually recreates and reschedules the container. Similar for the main web process, but actually dedicated for the Envoy proxy.
So this is a brand new health check about Envoy's healthiness, not putting the old health checks and making them go through Envoy.
No, it's
okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that issue was opened quite a long time ago by a colleague of ours. Unfortunately, we somehow put it into the freezer because we haven't had the chance to observe it for a while, but actually it started to appear again. And this is the reason why we actually decided to revive it and trigger some progress. And yeah, we already have a proposal.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me. So it looks like maybe there's some
there are
implementation thoughts. Oh, there are pull requests?
Yeah,
oh,
there are pull requests linked, so it's ready for review.
Oh, okay, great. Great. Are there any other thoughts on Envoy proxy health checks?
Just trying to understand the model here. So we already have a health check for the app, which then runs as a side container. Does this mean that we're going to start another side container to check the proxy?
No, actually the Envoy proxy is running as a sidecar process. To be honest, I'm not sure whether we actually reuse the same health check binary or it's implemented by introducing a new one for the health check for the Envoy itself. I'm not strictly into the deep into the implementation itself, But the idea is basically to monitor the health of the envoy, because in some cases, if envoy is dead, the application container remains non-routable. The main web process health check actually does not monitor an envoy itself. It only monitors the web ports.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know exactly how, well, you know, like I haven't looked at the code to see how it's implemented, but it feels like, you know, we already have the health check, and I guess I wonder if it's more reasonable to say, oh, we already have a process running, we already create one, why don't we just have it just check this? That's one thought, and check the envoy. And two is that, like, I'm not 100% sure if there are, you know, like intermediate failures that just would happen with envoy. So like, does that then create chaos, unnecessary chaos, in the sense of like just basically taking down containers just because, you know, envoy is in the middle of doing something coming up, or like what, you know, just, you know, rotating certs that happens, you know, sometimes. So yeah, every 24 hours actually. So yeah, just some thoughts in here.
Sounds like you would be a great reviewer, Amin. Okay, any more thoughts on Envoy processes? Okay, Max, your turn.
Thanks. Yeah, maybe you can just, yeah. We opened this some time ago. I opened this some time ago. And we now are picking this up and implementing it. And we noticed one or two things. So one is we have this thin, I would say, wrapper around the Prometheus library. If you scroll to the first comment, and it doesn't cover all the use cases that we have, but it's fairly simple to extend. So we kind of more or less decided to just extend it. Yeah, it's just calling through to the Prometheus library, so I'm not really sure why we have it, but yeah, whatever, we have it, so we just use it. The other thing is, so with Prometheus, the way metrics are treated is a bit different than with our own implementation. Particularly the dynamic aspects of the metric name are covered as tags. So maybe I could quickly take over the share if I can. No, I cannot. Ah, now I
Now
can.
try. Yep.
No, it doesn't have the permissions. Okay, give me a second. Sorry. And I have to restart. Sorry, 1 second.
I'll share my screen until Max returns. Welcome back.
Let's try that again. Yes. Hello? So what do you see now? My whole screen or just the window?
Whole screen.
Okay, that's fine.
Be careful.
So, we noticed that the Gota coding is dynamically adding a dot component. So for example, there's distinct metrics for the UAA. So there's a metric registry message dot UAA and like request dot UAA that count requests to UAA, and then there's just requests for everything. And I think they even distinct. So if you have a request for UAA, they does not count as a request on the main thing. And Prometheus doesn't really like changing metric names. It's more for using tags. So you would have a tag called component and then set that to UAA, nothing, cloud controller, something like that. But that would, of course, change the metric name. Now, as we kind of explained here, we would like to have it behind a feature flag anyways. So I guess it's fine if we have it as a kind of transition thing where you would need to make an active migration, because it would really be bending Prometheus if we want to support the exact same metric names and so on. So the question is just if someone is kind of opposing to reworking some of the names to tags, or if that's fine. Because, well, if you would migrate, which you can, there's a Prometheus scraper with Logator as well. That would obviously break your dashboards or whatever you have that depend on the metric names. I kind of take that as it's not really an issue. I mean, it's behind a feature flag, so it should be fine.
Sorry, I had emergency pounding on my front door.
Oh.
I heard it's backwards compatible, so maybe it's okay. That's what I heard when I put on my
Well, it's
headphones.
not. So it's
Oh,
just
no.
well, it's backwards compatible as in if you don't switch it on, you don't have the issue. But if you want to make the switch, it's a migration. So yeah. Which is a nice transition to my next topic, because to be able to transition, we'll need to be able to emit both metrics at the same time. So we will have to introduce quite some logic around how metrics are emitted. Like there will be a thing that only emits these, only those, and then both. It's a bit of a hassle to kind of get this all together, and it will produce quite some code that's just boilerplate calling like multiple other metrics reporters and so on. But it's kind of the only way to have this migration path, because you would want to have both metrics for some time and then switch your dashboards over and then kind of go from there. I just want to make sure that there's no like blockers that you say, we
Is
don't
this
want
behind a feature flag?
Yes. So we would
Is that an
introduce
experimental feature flag or a published or like?
it would be a proper one. So it would basically say you would have two flags, one for the envelope, so the Logator kind of metrics, and the Prometheus metrics, and you could turn off each individually. And then if you have only one is emitted. If you have both, then there will be like a multi-reporter that sends metrics to both. To keep the code where we call metrics clean, that's just a single call.
Is the plan to move over entirely one day to just have one, or to support both forever?
That depends on the consumers. I mean, we want to switch because our Logator stack is a bit in disarray, maybe I could say. So it uses the graphite nozzle, which I think not everyone is using, but maybe everyone is using. Not sure. But graphite cannot do tags, and that's a bit of a pain. So we want to move away from our Logator stack for the time being, and just collect via Telegraph, because then we can use tags. Yeah, that's just something we want. So I think even envelopes V1 can't do tags, and we would have to switch to envelopes V2. But I'm not into the details of that.
Yeah. So I'm hearing there's reasons for you to do it. Maybe other users might not. And it might be painful to move over. Or, you know,
Yeah.
you have to change a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, so the main thing is that, so for example, we have route registry updates. That was the initial kind of reason to start this. Maybe I can quickly show this. Here. So there's register and unregister somewhere, and we have just capture registry message. And we see lots of registry messages, and this is one constant source of issue for us because we still see Go router buffering messages just because of the sheer volume. And we want to better understand where that's coming from. And one of the things that we want to look at is what's the distribution between added, updated, and unchanged, basically. So because we can't enable these debug logs because that would just flood our logging stack, we will need metrics, which is the right thing to collect such data. And for that, we want to use tags. So that's kind of this triggered this whole discussion. And there's also an issue for just adding tags to envelopes V1, but that had a lot of issues on its own. So we kind of eventually decided not to do that and move to Prometheus, as that's more flexible. Okay, but then as long as it's by the feature flag, it seems to be fine.
Yeah,
The-
and support both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last question is, do we need to continue supporting this?
DEAs. I'm gonna say I bet we can get rid of DEAs.
Okay, then we would, I'm not sure if we would remove it in the old code, but we would definitely not carry it over to the new code.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't think anyone is using it anymore, but I'm also a bit afraid to remove it because.
We did ask people to move over, I believe in 2016.
Okay.
Just yesterday, I removed a feature flag from rats in here where it enabled Diego in order to run, in order to do something. So I said, I
Nice.
think it's safe to say we're on Diego.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Was there anything
Okay.
else? Oh yeah. Right. Inactive projects. So you all know, well, no, you probably don't all know, but some of you will know PCAP release, which is this wonderful idea that we had, which got cut down a lot, and then eventually we just never managed to finish it off. The idea was to have a way to capture TCP dumps in app containers, basically, which is very cumbersome at the moment because CFSSH only gives you VCAP user and groups, which is not privileged to run TCP dump. And an operator can do like run C magic, but that's also very cumbersome. This thing can technically do that and in an orchestrated, automated, nice way. But as I said, the priorities changed and we will not be able to really finalize this. What's mainly missing is the integration with the Diego release. So we would still have to somehow inject the PCAP agent into each container where it's enabled, similar to Diego SSH. Yeah, that's kind of the piece that's missing, but it's unlikely that we get to this anytime soon. And we would just kind of mark this as not maintained at the moment. So I maybe put some disclaimer here or change the existing disclaimer that it's not inactive, it's not maintained as opposed to
You
still in
can mark
active
it.
development.
You can archive it, and then if we ever want it again, we can unarchive it and bring
Right.
it back.
That should also stop Dependabot, right? Because that's currently just the only thing that is
I
happening.
believe so.
Okay. I can't archive it, but I guess you can.
There you can make a pull request to the community repo.
Oh,
So you
okay,
can
I
mark
see.
it like there's a YAML and it says archived, and you can
Okay.
put true, and then you can remove it from our working group. And then if
Okay,
you
so
ever want to bring it back,
archive repositories don't need to be in a group, in a working group.
I believe they get removed from a working group.
Okay. So then I would make a pull request to PCAP release and merge it. That's just kind of puts a note that it's like it's there and it can be picked up if someone has the capacity, but we don't. And then I will make a pull request to the community repository to adjust that as well. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Thank you. And send that to me and I can merge it.
Oh, and I was surprised that you merged the merging of the things right away. And now we have to figure out some access because as Stefan Merker pointed out,
Oh
the
no,
group is
sorry.
gone. So I think we can't log into Concourse once this kicks in, but it's fine. It's just
I can revert it if you want.
No. We just have to redeploy the VM with the new approver group, but we can do that
I didn't think about
independently.
your concourse. I thought he meant about our concourse. I'm like, no, we don't use that one. They'll be fine.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
we do. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Let me know if you want me to revert it.
Yeah, and we will also have to adjust the code owners and everything, but we can do that in the coming days and figure it out.
Cool.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else from anyone? Okay. Good seeing you all. Lots of progress. Have a good
Bye.
week.